Hello, can you hear? Oh, okay. Good evening, Bhante. Good evening, brother and sister. Welcome for tonight's talk. Before we start the talk, I would just like to introduce Bhante to everybody, in case some of them might not know who is Bhante Rathanasara. Bhante Rathanasara was ordained as a novice monk in 1984 at the age of 12. After 14 years of monastic training, Bhante received his higher ordination, Upasampada, in 1998 at the Mawutu Maha Viharaya in Kandy, Sri Lanka. Bhante holds a Bachelor of Arts special degree in mass communication, a postgraduate diploma in fundamental Buddhist studies, and a Master of Arts degree in Buddhist studies from the University of Kelaniya. Bhante joined the famous Sri Lankaramaya Buddhist temple in Singapore as resident monk in 2001. In 2018, Bhante dedicated full time in teaching the Dhamma at the Dhamma Kami Buddhist Society in Singapore, where Bhante is the founder and spiritual advisor. Bhante has authored of many well-received Dhamma books. Bhante also delightfully takes on the spiritual patron role in many Buddhist organizations. We are very happy tonight to be able to invite Bhante Rathanasara to give us a Dhamma talk. This is not his first time giving talk here. He's been giving talk in Mangala Vihara for many years. So tonight's talk is, can you decide your rebirth?
Okay, that's the clock. Where's the clock? Time? What is the time now? What time I must? Okay. It says okay. It's okay. Just leave it here. Just leave it here. Friends, shall we put our palms together? Homage to Him, the Blessed One, the Exalted One, the fully enlightened One. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Friends, before we proceed with our Dhamma talks, let's spend a bit of time to cultivate boundless love and compassion, metta. I believe many of you have practiced this meditation. We will start with mindfulness on breath, and we will have a guided session of metta meditation. Then after that, we will have Dhamma sharing, followed by a question and answer session. Okay. You may sit in a comfortable sitting position. As all of you are sitting on the chairs, let your feet relax on the ground. Keep back of your right palm on the top of the left palm. Close your eyes and let your body relax. Let yourself breathe in and out naturally. While breathing naturally, pay attention to your own breath. If your mind runs away, bring it back. Establish the mindfulness again and again. Mindfully breathe in, mindfully breathe out. Gently pay attention to yourself. In day-to-day life, we undergo a lot of stress, tension, many other mental sufferings and miseries because of our own defilements. Negative, destructive defilements such as anger, hatred, ill will, jealousy, cruelty, resentment, and many other such defilements burst out in our mind to violent speech and actions. There are times we are harsh on ourselves. There are times we are harsh on the others. Sometimes we are too critical of ourselves and others, unreasonably. Be kind to yourself. You deserve kindness and compassion. You deserve all the well-being and happiness. You deserve to be forgiven. Let go any kind of anger or any other negative thoughts. If you are holding against yourself, make peace with yourself. With that kindness and compassion, with this forgiveness, understanding, visualize yourself that you are sitting here with your fellow Dhamma friends. With that visualized image of yours, radiate a lot of metta towards yourself, healing both your body and mind. May I be healthy and strong. May I be calm and peaceful. May I be free from anger, hatred, and enmity. May I be free from worries and sufferings. May I be well. May I be happy. There are two people in this world who are unique to you, who are incomparable in your life. You cannot replace them. It is nearly impossible for you to repay them for what they have done for you. They are your mother and father. They brought you up, educated you, and provided you. They sacrificed their lives for your well-being and happiness. Be grateful to them. Radiate metta towards them. Let go any kind of anger or any other negative thoughts if you are holding against your mother and father. Let go the negative aspect. Concentrate on the positive, wholesome aspects of your parents. Have a sense of gratitude. Ask the forgiveness if you have done anything wrong to them in your mind. With this kindness and compassion, with this understanding and forgiveness, visualize your mother and father. With that visualized image of your parents, radiate a lot of metta towards them. My beloved mother, my beloved father, may you be healthy and strong. May you be calm and peaceful. May you be free from anger, hatred, and enmity. May you be free from worries and sufferings. May you be well. May you be happy. In this world, you are not left alone. You are surrounded by many good people. You are supported by many good people. Some of these people are known to you. They can be your close relatives and friends. Others can be totally strangers. Nevertheless, we depend on each other. We cannot live all alone in this society. We support each other. Have a sense of gratitude, having your loved ones and friends around you. Radiate metta towards all of them, wishing all of them to be well and happy. Think of your close relatives and friends and take them group by group and radiate metta towards all of them. My brothers and sisters, my relatives and friends, my teachers and well-wishers, may they all be healthy and strong. May they all be calm and peaceful. May they all be free from anger, hatred, and enmity. May they all be free from worries and sufferings. May they all be well. May they all be happy. Human beings create a lot of miseries and sufferings because of their negative, destructive, unwholesome defilements. Destructive forces such as anger, hatred, ill will, jealousy, cruelty, and many other such destructive forces can burst out in violent speech and actions. People go to the extent to kill each other and create a lot of miseries and sufferings, bloodshed. Starting from small quarrel between two kids till up to the wars between nations, all these are rooted in defilements, destructive forces. If humankind can reduce these destructive forces, and instead if they can cultivate metta and the other virtuous qualities, human societies can be more peaceful and sublime. Let's wish all our human brothers and sisters the courage, understanding, and ability to let go the negative forces and cultivate the positive virtues. Let's take them group by group and radiate metta towards all of them. My Dhamma brothers and sisters who are sitting with me in this hall, my brothers and sisters in Singapore, those who are living in neighboring countries, all the people who live in Asia, and all the human beings who live in this world, may they all be healthy and strong. May they all be calm and peaceful. May they all be free from anger, hatred, and enmity. May they all be free from worries and sufferings. May they all be well. May they all be happy. The earth is not the only place where life exists. There are many other planes of existence. Human beings, animals, as well as various other beings who live in different realms of existence. We all are interrelated, interconnected. We are moving from realm to realm without an end in this cycle of existence between birth and death. Let's radiate boundless love and compassion towards all the sentient existence, wishing all of them to be well, to be happy. Let's take them group by group. Those living beings who live on the land, those who live in the water, those who live in the space, those who are having gross-level physical bodies, or those who are having subtle-level astral bodies, those living beings who can be seen with our eyes, those who cannot be seen with our eyes, those who live near or far, big or small, all the kinds of living beings who live in this world system, may they all be healthy and strong. May they all be calm and peaceful. May they all be free from anger, hatred, and enmity. May they all be free from worries and sufferings. May they all be free from fear, danger, miseries, and sufferings. May they all be well. May they all be happy. May all the living beings in this world existence be free from worries and sufferings, be well, be happy. May all the living beings attain bliss of Nibbana. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Good evening, Dhamma friends. Birds of a feather flock together. Like-minded people, they always mingle together. When those people who have inclination towards the Dhamma, when they get together to listen to the peaceful, sublime teachings of the Buddha, such a congregation is always a blessing to the world. Life is well understood when we understand the Dhamma. Life is well lived when we practice the Dhamma. Life is well realized and utilized when we realize the Dhamma. The teachings of the Buddha is all about the nature of our existence. When it comes to the nature of the existence, the Buddha says, our existence is impermanent and it is moving, evolving, life to life, life to life. We are moving around from realm to realm. Neither the birth nor the death is the absolute beginning or end of this process. Sabbe satta marissanti maranantang hi jivitang. Yata kamang gamisanti punya papa palupaga. Sooner or later, all the living beings, they have to come to the end of their life, each and every one of us. Maranantang hi jivitang. This current life force will come to the end with the death. However, yata kamang gamisanti, that's not the end of the journey. The death is not the end. It is the beginning of another round of existence. The journey will go on based on two types of forces. Punya, papa, palupaga. One type of force is punya, merits. This is the positive, constructive, wholesome types of karmic force, which are known as kusala, skillful, punya, merits. They bring happiness and joy in this cycle of existence. They bring renewed existence in higher planes, favorable rebirth. However, there is another form of energy which is papa, literally translated as dark force. Negative, destructive, unwholesome types of karmic force which bring us downward to a lower realms, bring us miseries and sufferings. So Buddha very clearly recognized the process and encouraged all his followers to avoid producing these dark forces, to avoid lower realms, and then cultivate skillful qualities, merits, move forward on the path to higher realms and eventually to attain enlightenment. So friends, the path of the Buddha is a path of transformation from ordinary human beings to become fully enlightened human beings. So the death is not the end. After the death, we will be reborn. As long as defilements rooted in our mind, as long as we are not fully enlightened, we will go round and round and round in this cycle of existence. Therefore, since birth and death, they are natural, and also the rebirth is also natural, whether we wish for it or not, it will naturally happen. There's no one who can escape the death. And there is also no one who can escape the rebirth. Once you die, you are bound to reborn. But the question here, if that is the case, if this is the natural course, is it possible for us to manipulate it? Is it possible for us to use it for our own advantage? Because human species, we are so advanced in our intellectual capacities, abilities, and we have manipulated nature for our own advantage. So is it also possible for us to decide our rebirth? The Buddha says, yes, you can do that. But not only by wish. So today we are going to discuss this particular issue. Can we decide our rebirth? There are a few suttas that we are going to refer here. The most important two suttas I'm going to refer is, one of them is Dhanupapatti Sutta, the other one is Sankarupapatti Sutta. The both suttas talks about that we can decide our rebirth. In Dhanupapatti Sutta, the Buddha says that suppose someone practice giving. At that moment of practicing giving, and he or she expect a reward, merits. And then he sees that in this human world, there are people who are enjoying luxuries, gratifying their sense faculties, rich, affluent people, those who achieve great wealth, power, glory, name, fame, and enjoying so much luxuries and gratify their five sense faculties. Having seen these people, he arouses desire in his mind and make a wish. After the death, I want to be born in human realm as a fluent human being, endowed with great power, wealth, glory, and all these luxuries. Buddha said, if that human being were to keep this wish strong in his mind, foster it, reinforce it, and at the moment of the death, and still this is the dominant force in the mind, after the death, that person will be born among human beings in human realm in favorable conditions. The same sutta says that however this human being wish by practicing giving at the moment of practicing charity or whatsoever wholesome actions in terms of charity, dana, and he think of the divine beings, and he think that divine beings enjoy a lot of pleasure. I wish to be born among these divine beings. And having such kind of desire and wish, if that person were to strengthen his mind, foster it, and reinforce it, cultivate his desire to be born among devas, divine beings, and at the moment of the death, if that is his dominant power in the mind, the desire in the mind, after the death, that person will be born among divine beings. So this sutta very clearly says that, yes, we can decide our rebirth. We can decide it. However, the sutta itself point out some important points that we need to take into consideration very carefully. When you go through the sutta, we understand there are 4 necessary factors for it. The first of all, whoever wants to decide his rebirth to be born in a pleasurable, favorable realm, that person should refrain from evil. It means that person cannot be morally evil, impure. So you need to refrain from producing papa, negative, destructive, unwholesome karmic forces. So here the first advice is keep away from producing dark karmic forces. The reason here, because dark karmic forces can bring you downward, pull you downward. They have magnetic power to similar force which are lower realm. So the first advice is refrain producing dark karmic force. The second, be morally pure, sila, uphold righteous conduct. As a human being, live a dignified human life, pure human life. So basically uphold righteousness, righteous principles in your life as a human being, as a decent human being. So this is called morally pure state. Number 3, do merits, engage in wholesome actions. So whatever actions which are rooted in compassion, goodwill, friendship, generosity, and such kind of great virtues, they all are recognized as wholesome actions. Meritorious actions, they are socially beneficial, spiritually rewarding, karmically bringing favorable results. Meritorious actions also purify our mind and make us feel happy and joyful. So these are the actions the Buddha encouraged. The merits, they bring favorable results in this life and lives to come. So this is the energy, this is the force, the behind, which can support us in the process of rebecoming. So this is the third factor. The fourth one is your strong willpower, your determination, your aspirations. Once you fixed your mind, whether to be born in human realm or divine realm or whatsoever your aspirations to be born, and again reinforce it. So must keep into these 4 factors. Keep away from evil, be morally pure, do merits, reinforce your mind, determine your destination. So if you can keep these 4 according to Dhanupapatti Sutta, we can decide our rebirth. There's another interesting discourse, also talk about that we can decide our rebirth, and this sutta is Sankharupapatti Sutta. In that discourse also the Buddha point out that if any monk, nun, or any male or female lay follower, whoever human being, were to cultivate 5 types of forces. They are known as Saddha, Sila, Sutta, Chaga, Panya. Saddha here, faith. Sila, morality. Sutta, learning. Chaga, generosity. Panya, wisdom. So if anyone masters these 5 qualities and make his or her mind stronger with these 5 qualities, and then if he or she wishes to be born among human beings, in affluent families, in favorable conditions, or if that person wishes to be born in heavenly realms, that is possible. So this is called being born by strong aspiration. However, that person must be someone who cultivates these 5 qualities. So let's understand these 5 qualities a little bit more. The first quality is known as Saddha. Saddha here means faith, However, this is not a blind faith. This is the faith that you arouse in your mind when you understand the Buddha's great qualities, when you understand the Dhamma, when you understand the Sangha. In your mind arise a kind of joy, kind of devotion, kind of dedication to follow the path of the Buddha. It's a confidence that arises in your heart based on right understanding. It is not blind faith. There are two types of faith in the Buddha's teaching. One is called Akharavati Saddha. The blind faith, which is irrational. The other one is, of course, rational faith, which based on analytical thinking. So when it comes to faith here, what we are referring is this rational faith. When you have faith in the triple gems, you will be rooted in triple gems. Your inclination is towards the triple gems. You will always look for the Buddha, look for Dhamma and Sangha. Your life principles will change. Your way of thinking, way of behavior, way of action, all will incline with the triple gems. This is called saddha. When you have this by nature, you will have another factor. The people who have inclination towards the triple gems, because of their strong conviction, they will live ethical life. This is called sila. They will generally refrain from evil and they will live a pure human life. Number 3, sutta, learning. When you have interest in the triple gems and conviction in the triple gems, you also have tendency to learn the Dhamma. You will go and attend Dhamma talks. You will go and attend Dhamma classes. You will read the Dhamma books, suttas. You will discuss the Dhamma. So all of you have these qualities. If you do not have these qualities, you are not here today. So sutta, the desire to learn the Dhamma, your desire to explore more and more, learn it, sutta. With this understanding of the Dhamma, when the Dhamma knowledge becomes deepened and your character change to become chaga, very generous person. Generous does not mean only material sense of the word. Generous here means your self-centered, blind craving and attachment dissolve slowly, and you become a human being who can embrace many other human beings beyond the colors, beyond the races, beyond the religions. You can embrace these human beings. You can empathize with them. You become generous heart. And you also embrace other living beings. So you are not self-centered, but rather you become open in your heart to many other living beings. This is called generous. But with this, of course, you also will share whatever you are having. It may be your material wealth. With your capacity and ability, you will generously spend for the well-being and happiness of the others. It can be your knowledge. It can be your skills. It can be anything and everything, as long as you can. So this is called chaga. This is a natural product. It's a natural byproduct of the practice. It's not something that you are doing it by force. This is a spiritual cultivation. So these things will happen. With this, of course, when you are more detached, when you are away from selfish, self-centered, blind attachment, and when you are away from it, you can see things more clearly, and wisdom grows because of the detachment, because of detached attitudes, and you can observe people, things, and including 5 aggregates of clinging and everything with a detachment and discernment. So this is detached discernment, wisdom. So when someone practices these 5 qualities, what are these 5 qualities? Faith, morality, learning, generosity, and wisdom. These 5 become dominant forces in your mind, and you have the ability to decide your rebirth because you have necessary forces with you, necessary conditions with you to decide your rebirth, whether to be born as human beings or divine beings. And in the sutta itself, Buddha says, these forces can be developed to the highest level, and if you so wish, you can be fully enlightened here and now as well. So, Sankharupa Patti Sutta also say that we can decide our rebirth. So these are the 2 famous suttas I would like to emphasize when it comes to the question, can we decide our rebirth? Now, according to the Buddhist teachings, the last thought of this life can give rise to next thought in our next life. In other terms, the thought that arises at the moment of the death is the seed for our next life. Our future life depends on the last thought arise in our mind. So now a question can be arise. Who on earth knows what kind of thoughts will arise when we are dying? Correct? So if it is the case, how can we decide our rebirth? This is not an issue for those who cultivate the mind. This is an issue for those who do not cultivate the mind. We have another interesting discourse. Patama Mahanama Sutta. In that discourse, we come across Mahanama Sakyan. Once he went to the Buddha and said these words, "The Lord, this capital city Kapilavatthu is very famous, populous, full of people, full of activities. Sometimes, having left the capital city, I come to the monastery to see the Buddha and the Sangha members, and having paid my homage and respect, when I go back to the city in the evening, sometimes I come across those stray elephants, or chariot, or a horse, which is a stray horse, running here and there. Or sometimes I see those violent people. And at that moment, fear arises in my mind. Will that elephant kill me? Will that horse kill me? Or will that chariot will knock me down? Or will that person who is violent will kill me? Such thoughts arise in my mind. When fear arises, my mind becomes muddled. I lose mindfulness in the Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha. I forget triple gems. What will happen to me if I die? Where will I be born? The Buddha said, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. Your death will not be a bad one. Surely you will be born in a good place. And he said, for such a long time, you have fortified your mind, strengthened your mind with these 5 qualities. What are these? Faith, morality, learning, generosity, and wisdom. Your mind has been cultivated. And for such a cultivated person, no matter how that person is going to die, it's not going to be an issue. Because at the moment that the mind leaves the body, it will move forward to the higher realms. Then the Buddha gave an example. He said, suppose there is a pot which is full of ghee or oil, and this pot were to submerge inside the water, sink into the water, and someone were to break it. What will happen? All the ghee and the oil will come to the surface of the water, and the shards and all the other particles of the pieces of the pot will sink to the bottom of the pool. Buddha said, exactly in the same manner, when your body collapses, when the death happens, this body will be rotten, it will be eaten by animals or buried or burnt or whatsoever. But your mind will elevate it and move to a higher planes of existence. So here in this sutta also the Buddha emphasized again. And for those people who practice their mind and cultivate it, and this is not an issue. It is the issue for those who do not practice. However, there are many other ways also how we can train the mind. One of the way is meditation techniques. There are these 3 types of meditations which are greatly beneficial, and they will help you to be born in pleasurable, favorable realms if you cultivate. One of them is Marananusati Bhavana, recollection, reflection, mindfulness on death itself. The death is not a taboo. It is something to be acknowledged. Since it is coming to us anyway, let's welcome it. What will happen when you practice death meditation? At the very beginning, when you start practicing this meditation, fear will arise in your mind. Worry, stress, tension, sadness, many other miserable feelings arise in your mind. So usually, people have fear and worry, stress, and these, they don't want them. So they quickly turn their mind to something else. So what happens? Again and again, we ignore the death, hide it under the carpet. Because of this ignoring, ignorance become more and more powerful. So now what will happen to you if you were to accept this challenge and overcome this initial barrier? At the very beginning, as I said, when you practice this meditation, fear, worry, stress, all these arise because of ignorance and attachment. But when you practice it more and more and more, become more mindful about it, and your mind is accepting that death is a natural process, like birth. Your fear slowly disappear, and your understanding become deeper and deeper. With that, you become peaceful. So when you think of the death, when you are reflecting about the death, you are ever ready to face that moment without fear. And furthermore, you will become wiser and wiser because you can see impermanent, transient nature of our existence. Body-mind complex and everything else is evolving, changing. With this understanding, you will definitely refrain from evil because you know that death is not the end, so you don't want to be born lower realms. So by nature you will refrain from evil. By nature you will do good because you want to be born in favorable realms. You will do meritorious action. You will let go the grudges. You will enjoy your wealth because you know that you cannot take them with you. You will treasure the relationship. So there are many blessings come to you. And one day when actually death happens, at that moment you can die peacefully, and you are not going to die with a confused mind, And as a result, you can be born in a pleasurable, favorable realm. So this is one type of meditation that you can practice. Another meditation is Buddhanusati Bhavana. Reflecting, recollecting the Buddha's great qualities. So if you understand the Buddha nature and his great qualities, when you reflect them, your mind becomes so energized, very pure. And a kind of joy arises in your body-mind, what we call pamojja. And when the joy arises, when you think of the Buddha, your mind becomes so strong in inclination towards the Buddha. And you will by nature refrain from evil. By nature you will do good. And when you think of the Buddha, all the fears disappear from your mind. And at the moment of the death, if you are someone who is cultivating this meditation, when you think of the Buddha, you are peaceful, happy, joyful. Your next birth will be a favorable one. Another type of meditation is Metta Bhavana, the one that we just practice. When you cultivate Metta, your character will undergo a transformation. By nature, you will refrain from evil because you are producing loving thoughts. Destructive thoughts become weakened. By nature, you will be kind, compassionate human being and you will do good. As Buddha pointed out, among all the meritorious actions which are capable of bringing favorable rebirth, in Iti Vuttaka, Buddha pointed out, Metta is number one. And in that sutta, the Buddha says, monks, do not be afraid of merits. Merit is a term for happiness. I have enjoyed happiness for a long time, having cultivated loving kindness meditations. I enjoyed long life in divine realms. So Metta Bhavana is one of those meditations which can bring favorable rebirth. And also when you practice this and when you are about to die, if you were to focus your mind on this, all the fears, worries, everything will disappear and you will have a peaceful death and will be reborn in a pleasurable, favorable realm. So adopting this simple meditation technique is one way. Another simple method that ancient time people adopted was maintain a merits diary. Olden days people, they did not have digital phones, smartphones and gadgets like today. So they simply maintain a diary. So whenever they engage in meritorious actions, they write down them. So when they are old and sick and come to the end of their lives, most of the time they go through these diaries. When they go through these actions, what will happen? Their mind become again energized. Mind becomes so powerful again because you are thinking about the good actions that you did. When you think of your own merits, your mind become very luminous and powerful. So people who practice this, and they also can overcome the fear towards the death. Of course, another common thing people do when someone is about to die, and they will invite some monks to come and do some parita chanting or share the Dhamma or engage in meritorious action. They do all these things to make the last thought of the dying person to make it wholesome. But why do we have to wait until such a moment? We know that we are going to die, so we prepare for it. Don't depend on the other people. Depend on yourself. Take care of your mind. Because Buddha has taught us such a clear way that you can decide your rebirth. If you can, then if he has shown us the path and practice it, then you will know it by yourself. Okay, another question I would like to ask. Yes, we might have a lot of wishes, but if we do not practice the right path, will we be able to be born in the destined realm as we wish? Unfortunately, the answer is no. Just because you have desire to be born in a particular realm, or wish, or strong desire, or wish, or determination to be born there, as long as you do not practice the right way, right path, you will not be born there. There's another discourse to support this. This is Kukkara Vatika Sutta. In this discourse, we come across two strange people. However, in the time of the Buddha, there were such people. And even today, there are strange people in this world. These two people mentioned in this sutta, they were practicing some austere practices, and they strongly believed in their practice. One of them practiced the dog asceticism. The other one practiced ox asceticism. They believe that by adhering to the lifestyle of a dog, and the ascetic who adopted this way of behavior, he eat like a dog, sleep like a dog, walk like a dog, and he believed it is a very difficult thing to do, and it's an austere practice. And by adhering to these very difficult, austere kind of practice, by disciplining his mind in this way, he can be born in the heaven. The other one practice ox asceticism. So he behaves like a cow, ox. Of course, being human being, it's not easy to behave like dogs and cows. However, this is what they did, and they thought that they are doing something remarkable, extraordinary, which ordinary human beings cannot do. And this is a way to discipline the body and mind. And by this discipline, they can be born in the heaven. So they came to the Buddha and asked the Buddha that after the death, whether they will be born in the heaven. What did the Buddha say? The Buddha's answer was very simple, straightforward, and pragmatic. As a human being, being born as a human being, if you cultivate the mindset of a dog, behavior of a dog, mannerism of a dog, you are training to be a dog. So after the death, you will be a dog. The other person will be a cow. And if you believe that by practicing it, you will be born in the heaven, that's wrong belief. So the question here, just because we have aspiration to be born in the heaven or in a higher level of human status, that alone will not bring us that status. We must cultivate the path, the way to be born there. Suppose, friends, you were to plant a jackfruit seed, and then you expect a bananas. That's not going to happen. Similarly, those people who kill and thinking and wishing to be born in the heaven, they will be born in the hell. Because action is wrong. Your actions and your aspiration must go hand in hand. It means when you have the wholesome aspirations to be born in a pleasurable, favorable realm, either as humans or divines, that aspiration must be supported by karmic force. In Subha Sutta, we come across this particular point. A young man known as Subha came to the Buddha, and he said that he has desire to be born in higher divine beings known as Brahma, and pleaded with the Buddha, Lord, please teach me the way. How can I be born among these higher divine beings? So Buddha said, then if you had such aspiration to be born among these beings, then cultivate the mind with immeasurable love, immeasurable compassion, appreciative joy, and perfect equanimity. These are known as appamanya, immeasurable qualities, metta, karuna, mudita, upekka. These are the 4 wonderful qualities. The Buddha said, when you cultivate these 4 qualities, you are developing the mind of such a higher being, Brahma. So after the death, you will be born there. So it's very clear and precise, and it is how we train our mind. So aspiration alone is not enough. We must support our aspirations through our actions, through our karmic forces as well. Now, before I end up this talk, I would like to ask one more question. As ordinary human beings, we do merits, and many of the ordinary human beings at the end of the meritorious actions make mundane wishes. Is it wrong? After making merits, if you were to make a mundane wish, a wish that is related to material goal, is it wrong? It is not wrong. If you were to go to Dhanupapatti Sutta and Sankarupapatti Sutta, both suttas accept it. It means in both suttas we come across people who practice these meritorious actions. They wish to be born in higher realms, to be rich, to be, achieve this or that. So there's nothing wrong of it. It's fine. However, Buddha always encourage you to wish for the highest. Whether you are born in human planes of existence or divine planes of existence, they are still impermanent, subject to change and disappear. No matter how glorious is your sensual gratification, they are still subject to change and disappear. So Buddha always encourage us to wish the highest goal, which is supreme enlightenment. So while it is perfectly all right for wishing for mundane goals, we should not neglect our spiritual perfections, which is enlightenment. So when it comes to these kinds of aspirations, people might have short-term aspirations, they might have long-term aspirations. Short-term aspirations such as to be born in higher plane of existence, like in divine realms or human realms, to achieve this or that kind of short-term aspiration. They can be related to current life, or it can be related to immediately after the death. Long-term aspirations can be those higher aspirations to become fully enlightened Buddhas, such as someone want to enter to the Bodhisattva practice and cultivate paramis, perfections, life after life, life after life. It's a long process. So these are long-term aspirations. So these are the human beings who cultivate millions and millions of years, life after life. So the Bodhisattvas, they cultivate these, they can decide their rebirth. The reason is they are practicing. So if you practice, you can decide your rebirth. This is the simple meaning when it is said, Bodhisattvas by will can appear in other realms because they cultivate their spiritual faculties. However, as Buddhists, when we engage in meritorious actions, if you all notice, in all the Buddhist traditions, at the end of the meritorious actions, by sharing merits and all these, we also make a very common aspirations. I think some of you have heard this stanza that many monks and nuns and lay people chant together. Imina punya kammene mami bala samagamo satang samagamo hotu yava nibbana pattiya. What is the meaning of this? Imina punya kammene. By the power of these merits, as a result of these meritorious actions. Mame bala samagamo. May I not follow evil, wicked, immoral people. May I not associate them. Satang samagamo hotu. May I follow and associate noble human beings, virtuous human beings. Yava nibbana patya, until I reach my final emancipation, enlightenment. The question, why do the Buddhists make this aspiration? It is for a very simple yet very important reason. To be awakened, we need necessary conditions. To be awakened to the first stage of enlightenment, there are 4 necessary conditions. The first of them is good friends. Without good friends, without noble friends, you will not come across the Dhamma. So the Buddha here is a Kalyana Mitra. Buddha is a good friend. Enlightened ones are good friends. If anyone is encouraging you to go and listen to sermon, study the Dhamma, these are good friends. Without these good friends, you will not practice the Dhamma. We need the support of the good friends. Friends are influential. If you have those friends who are inclined towards negative, destructive, unwholesome way of life and behavior, you will be influenced by them, carried away by them. If you have good friends and you will be influenced by them, you are likely to follow the Dhamma. So this is the simple reason why we make that aspiration. In Upadda Sutta, the Buddha says to the Venerable Ananda said to the Buddha, the Lord, the Buddha, I think the half of the spiritual life depend on good friends. This was said by Venerable Ananda. The Buddha said, don't say that. Don't say that. Not only half, 100%. 100% holy life, spiritual life depend on good friends. Without good friends, you will not come to learn the Dhamma. So this is the simple reason why we make that aspiration. Okay, I think my time is up. If you have got some questions, you can ask.
Good evening, Bhante. Thank you very much for the insightful talks. My question is, if a person who has already consistently developed meritorious, the kusala path in most of his life, but then at the end of the life, for example, certain conditions is not favorable to him. For example, he or she experience dementia, for example. Will this last thought actually will redefine where suppose like he should be actually reborn because he has already done a lot of meritorious deed? Thank you very much, Bhante.
When we look into the Patama Mahanama Sutta, as Buddha pointed out, whether it is a serious illness, or whether it is an accident, or whether it is for any other miserable situation that person is going to face with and finally pass away, these will not affect for someone who cultivates the path and have these spiritual forces, fortified the mind with these spiritual forces. Because the moment the body-mind complex dissolved, mind will release and it will move on based on that spiritual path. So it won't affect. Do you have
more
any?
question?
Bante, thank you for the talk. I just want to ask you, you say at the time of the death, right? Do you need to do anything? I mean, will it be a case like you just pop, go over there, or you expect something along the way? Like you see the bright light, then you follow a bright light, or what?
I think after my death I will come and tell you.
Thank you. Please let me know.
Yeah, I have no any idea. Yeah, I have no any idea anyway. This is not mentioned in any suttas to refer. I mean, what will happen at the moment of the death? Yeah. However, when we look into the Buddhist texts, there are some signs appear to the people who are dying depend on their karmic forces. So that has been mentioned, not in the suttas, but in mainly commentaries. Depend on their behavior, whether good or bad behavior at the moment of the death, it is possible that someone might experience some symbolic signs of the destination that the person is going to be reborn. Or the person might remember the actions that that person continued and in a symbolic way. So these are of course mentioned in commentaries, but not in the suttas. There can be many views on this matter, but all these views, as I said, are speculative, and we cannot say anything definitely. In the first place, of course, I cannot do that because I don't have such powers, I don't have such abilities. So in commentaries, of course, there are mentions in these kind of things. We also can look into modern research, especially those cases where we have near-death experiences are reported, and there are some similarities between such reports and what is mentioned in Buddhist scriptures regarding the dying moment. Abhidhamma can be another area that if you are interested can look into. From the Abhidhamma point of view, they will elaborate it. However, these are not based on the mainly suttas. So my talk is mainly based on the suttas. Yeah, but if you can explore a little bit on those pointers I directed. Yeah. Any other questions?
Yeah, Bante, I have a question. Good evening, Bante. I don't know how to ask this question, so I just use simple words. Aren't we now born as human, considered the highest being? Because if you look at the Buddha or the Bodhisattvas, they are all born as human. And then they practice to become Bodhisattva and then become the Buddha itself. So I ask the question, isn't being born a human much better than being born a divine? Thank you, Bante.
Yes. Being born as a human being is the best from a spiritual point of view. All the fully enlightened ones appear only in human realm. Bodhisattvas prefer to be born in human realms in their process of cultivation. So Buddha of course recognized Kicho Manusa Patilabho. Being born as a human being is a very rare thing, very precious thing. And we should remember this and treasure the preciousness of this human life. human beings are exceptionally brilliant. They have intellectual capacities and abilities to realize the highest goal of the spiritual perfections. Only a human being will become a fully enlightened Buddha, no one. Therefore, Buddha never substitute human beings to divine beings or any other beings. Remember this. There might be many religions where divine beings are glorified and considered as higher beings, but not in Buddhist teachings. In Buddhist teachings, human beings and divine beings, we are living in different realms, but in terms of certain lifespan, glory, name, power, material aspect, enjoyment, pleasure, in terms of those things, divine beings are enjoying higher, more glorious status. But not necessarily they are wiser than us or smarter than us in terms of spiritual cultivation. So when it comes to the human realm, so when Buddha glorified the human beings, remember Buddha is glorifying the human beings in terms of their ability to attain spiritual perfection. Human realm is the best. However, it is not in terms of sensual gratification. So we need to understand these two things separately. So in terms of spiritual attainment and cultivation, human realm has got the well-mixed balance. Human beings are brilliant. At the same time, human life is short. Human realm is a well-balanced mixture of pain and pleasure. Because of these special conditions, we have favorable situations to be awakened. Divine realms are different. In divine realms, lifespan is so long and they enjoy so much sensual gratification. They are infatuated by them, fascinated by them, and the true nature of impermanent, transient nature of the existence cannot be realized by them so easily because it is not immediate for them. For us, it is immediately visible here and now. Human lifespan is so short. So we have favorable conditions in terms of awakening.
Good evening, Bhante. Thank you so much. I have this very controversial questions. I think it has been discussed a few times with regards to can we choose to decide when to die, and can we also decide our loved ones death?
Sorry, I did not hear what you say. I did not hear the question.
Bhante. My question is, can we decide when we will die? Like, for example, in modern medical terms, mortality sometimes has been used with percentage and numbers. Like, for example, 10 years ago, when my father had his third stroke, the doctors told us the chances of him living would actually be very low, and they discouraged us from making him go through an operations. So they say that just let him pass on peacefully on his own with the help of painkiller morphines. But of course, he didn't go away just like that. It took him quite a while to pass on. I think this is a very big morality question here, because are we even allowed to decide when we should save the person or not? And even for ourselves, can we even decide and put a will to tell our children or our family next time, if I have reached to this point, just unplug and don't save me is almost like euthanasia. Would like to get your view on this, Bhante. Thank you.
In many religions, especially theocentric religions, it is recognized that life is given by a God which is precious. So destroying this life, even though it is, you consider your life, is going against the will of the God. So of course, in Buddhist teachings, we do not have that kind of concept. In Buddhist teaching, of course, you are responsible for your own thoughts, words, and actions. And life after life, we are going round in this cycle of existence because of our own craving, ignorance, and the other defilements. Therefore, we are fully responsible for our own lives, and we have full liberty for that. So does that mean committing suicide is all right? Even though Buddhism recognizes, yes, we have freedom to decide what we want to do with our life, committing suicide is recognized as unwholesome. And it is recognized as not the solution to the problem of suffering. Now, when it comes to problem of suffering, it means whether it is terms of terminal ill, like in case of somebody is bedridden, undergoing so much pain and suffering, this is problem of suffering. It can be emotional turmoil, stress, tension, miseries, sufferings, which are affected your mind. That's also problem of suffering. So problem of suffering is created by our defilements, not only related to this life, but also previous lives as well. So, from the Buddhist point of view, our past karmic forces also come in with us from life to life. So past karmic forces come to present life, and whatever the karmic forces that we do, good and bad, also flow into the future lives. So in this case, so terminating life, committing suicide is not the solution. It will actually aggravate it more. It will increase the problem more. So we don't encourage it. So in Buddhist teaching, it's recognized committing suicide is unwholesome actions. The reason is, whenever we recognize actions, the actions are defined as intentional actions. Karma is defined as intentional actions. The Buddha says, Chetanaham bhikkhave kammang vadami, chetitva kammang karoti kaina vacha manasa. Monks, I define karma as intentional actions. So whatever intentional thoughts, words and actions, well-planned one. So when it comes to this, the committing suicide or euthanasia and these aspects, of course, they all are rooted again in unwholesome thoughts, unwholesome defilements. So it is recognized as unwholesome actions. Now to the question. There can be certain occasions we have to decide, either for ourselves or for the others. In certain countries, of course, they have a system set up that you can write in your will, and in under these kind of cases, you can decide not to put me into the life support machine. So if you decide it, in my personal view, I don't think it is unwholesome. However, we cannot look these in the suttas because in the time of the Buddha, there was no life support machine. This is a new problem that we are having. Those days, when someone get a heart attack, and within a few minutes' time, the person died. But now, of course, we bring the person to the hospital, hook into the machines, and possibility he might live in a coma status or maybe half dead. We do not know. Then we, of course, struggle. What should we do? Should we take out the machine or not? So I think to make it easier for the living relatives and loved ones, you can decide it for yourself. And when you decide it yourself, and there's nothing wrong of it. And in medical ethics, all the doctors are trying to save lives. No matter what, they will try to save the lives. So if the doctor, having tried his best to save a patient and come to the conclusion and says, there's nothing we can do it, and at that moment, taking out of the life support machine, I don't think it is anything unwholesome. Provided you don't have unwholesome intention. Motivated by greed for house, wealth, car, or this and that, bank account. So make sure that you don't have such kind of hidden agenda, unwholesome thoughts. Make sure you have clear mind, clear intention, then you can decide it. But however, if you decide it because of those reasons, not for the direct, simple reason, but because of hidden agenda, of course you are committing the action of killing. Yeah. So I think it is not a simple, straightforward thing, case by case, we have to analyze, scrutinize it, and understand. When it comes to euthanasia, we have passive euthanasia and active euthanasia. Of course, active euthanasia is almost like killing. Because in this case, actively we kill another person. I mean, can be by force or by intention, or maybe the person is willing, but still it is a kind of active way. But a passive way of euthanasia can be included like, the patient decide not to take foods and drinks and medications and decide to go. So of course people have right to do that from the Buddhist point of view, especially the passive euthanasia. Interestingly, we also come across an incident in the suttas. We come across about a monk named Channa. He had a kind of a severe headache, perhaps migraine, or perhaps maybe a kind of headache which is explained in the suttas, that unbearable pain. So each and every time he developed his mind, achieved concentration and developed the mind to the higher states, and this obstruct his attainment. So he tried to commit suicide, express his desire to commit suicide. So of course the other monks prevented him committing suicide 3 times. But eventually he used the knife and killed himself in meditative state while attainment. The sutta, however, says the Buddha recognized that the moment of his death, he attained enlightenment. So Buddha commended, saying that, my son, this is the term that he said, because to appreciation to him, even though he used the knife, he used the knife blamelessly. However, this is a controversial statement, if you were to understand it in a very ordinary sense of the word. But of course, this is said by the enlightened ones. What he means it, as ordinary human beings, when we commit suicide, thinking that is the solution to the problem of suffering, it is not the solution. It is prolonging the problem, because you will be born in lower realms, you will continue suffering. But in this particular special condition, the moment of using the knife, he also fully enlightened, so he has put the end to the problem of suffering. This is why the Buddha has used the term, he used the knife blamelessly. It's a philosophical position. So however, we cannot take it for the common situations and justify it. So, in the ordinary sense of the word, and committing suicide is recognized as unwholesome, aggravating the problem. It is not the solution to the problem. Did I answer you?
Good evening, Bhante. I would like to find out how can we assist somebody to have a better rebirth when that person is in a vegetative state, like comatose. Thank you.
I think when someone reaches to that kind of states, I think it is beyond the hope, because the person doesn't have the ability to recognize and all this. However, even the person who is in coma states, perhaps there's a possibility for this person to appear with mano kaya and to see and hear things. There's a possibility. But since we do not have such kind of ability to recognize, and I think there is no way as ordinary human beings we can interact with that.
Bhante, let's say our parent is at the sick bed. They are very confused. They are fearful to die. So how can we help them?
I think if they have not practiced the path, if they do not have Dhamma understanding, and if they are very ordinary parents and who do not have Dhamma understanding and practical experience, the best way is that make your parents go for 3 refuge, establish them in the faith in the Triple Gems, and you also can encourage them to reflect the name of the Buddha, like you can introduce some beads and repeat the words of the Buddha like Buddha, 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 or think of the Buddha. You also can hang a Buddha picture or Buddhist statue somewhere where they can concentrate visually. When they look at the Buddha image, they can think of the Buddha. Or you also can perhaps let some chanting related to the Buddha to be played. So I think the best way is to establish them in the faith, especially the faith in the Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha. So this is the best we can do in such kind of situation. And they will find solace, peace, when they go for 3 refuge. When they think of the Buddha, fear will disappear. So as a result, in their next birth, they will follow the path of the Buddha, practice the path.
Thank you, Bhante.
So
Okay, we'll do transfer of merits.
So we'll end up this session. So shall we put our palms together? Friends, be happy and joyful. Today also we all got together here and we practice metta meditation, and also we listen to the Dhamma and engage in Dhamma discussion through our thoughts, words and physical behavior. We have accumulated merits through wholesome actions. May the good devas rejoice over these merits. Having shared these merits, may the devas protect you, protect your loved ones, protect the dispensation of the Buddha. May the devas attain bliss of Nibbana. Let's also be grateful to our departed ancestors. Today, whatever social, economic conditions that we are enjoying is partly due to the dedication and sacrifices of our departed ancestors. So wherever they are, our departed relatives, friends and ancestors receive these merits. Having shared these merits, may they be free from worries and sufferings. Be well, be happy. May all our departed loved ones attain bliss of Nibbana. May the great blessings of the Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha be upon each and every one of you here, as well as your relatives and friends. May everyone be well and happy. May the Dhamma shine forth brightly and brilliantly in this world for the well-being and happiness of many. May those with little dust in the eyes will see the light and follow the path. May the merits be helpful for all of us to refrain from the evil, to cultivate the good, to follow the noble path of the Buddha and attain bliss of Nibbana.
Thank you, Bhante. I hope you all like tonight's talk. It's very enlightening, right? Can we say 3 big sadhu to Bhante? Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.